Hello, year fours, and welcome back. In the previous lesson, we were learning, or we were going over our editing skills when we are writing our stories. So today, you are going to be writing your hot task, your final folk tale that you have been working towards. You will obviously need your brainstorming and your ideas that you've been using and have those next to you. You can also have, obviously, paper and a pencil. And then, because we've gone through our editing skills, I would also like you to have a different colored pencil to help you when you are reading through. If you've made any mistakes, although you shouldn't have to do this because you've checked it already, you checked it in the previous lesson, but if you have made any further mistakes or errors while you are writing, you draw a neat line through your work and then correct it above that. So have all of that ready. Before we start, we're going to go over the folktale a little bit more and what you need to be putting into it and the structure of it, just so you can remember before you write your final folktale. Remember, folktales are simple and straightforward. They can include magic and supernatural powers. You have the characters that represent qualities like good or evil. There's always a problem and a conflict, and then usually a happy ending, and then we usually learn something from the story. You should also remember the layout that we look at with a title or a story, what your story is called. You've got your main characters, but you've also got obviously your characters that represent the different characteristics. So the good characters, the bad characters, all of that. You also have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then you also have, if you're writing one with a moral, you have the moral at the end of the story. If we delve a little bit deeper into the beginning, middle, and end, you'll see your beginning should be quite quick-paced. It gives you the characters in your story, and it also introduces the conflict or the problem that there's going to be. Your middle is the climax, where it comes to the point where something needs to happen. Important actions take place in order to solve the problem. And then in the end, the problem has been solved, and it's a logical and happy ending for the most part. And remember, your ending is also where your moral or your lesson should become clear to the readers. We also discussed the moral or the lesson that you are going to learn from the story you will be writing. And these are the ones that we showed you when we were discussing them about always telling the truth. I mean, some of them being loyal, being patient, not judging people, being forgiving, being generous to others. So you should already have one of these, but if you decide to change it, you are more than welcome to do that. Your task today is quite simple. You have done all the work that you needed to do already. You've brainstormed your ideas. You have written a rough draft of your story. We've also had a fun lesson of just practicing some writing and practicing writing our own folktale. So today, you are going to take all your hard work that you have been doing, and you are going to be presenting it in a final story that you have written. So you need to now go and get your brainstorm, go and get your box up and your ideas that you have been throwing around for the last few weeks, and go and write your own folktale with your own moral, if that's the one you're going to be doing, or if you decide to write a different kind of folktale, that's up to you. Remember everything that we've discussed. Remember the editing. Remember the vocabulary that that I want you to use, the interesting vocabulary in your stories and not the boring vocabulary. Make this something that is really interesting for people to read. Please share with us on Tapestry all that you've done. Share with us the final story. Perhaps you want to turn it into a little book. In that case, you would need a piece of paper. You could fold it in half and create an illustration that could go with your story. That would be lovely. So maybe you want to draw the characters that go with it. You can create your own book, if you will, just like the one we looked at with Hans Christian Andersen and the book with the story in it. This will have your story in with an illustration, and then you could even create your own front cover for it that tells us that this is a folktale by you, and then you would write it neatly in that book for us, please. I cannot wait to read your stories. I'm so excited to see what you've been planning and everything that you've been thinking about.